I have been to the Atacama Desert 6 times already. We're far from anywhere. There is no bathroom, there is nothing. You don't wash for 5 days. Comparing what we do to a human mission on Mars, what we do is very easy.
The Atacama Desert in Chile is one of the driest and most surreal places on Earth. And it is so unique that it may even hold answers to questions about where we might find life elsewhere in the universe.
The Atacama Desert is very similar to some of the conditions we can find on Mars. In terms of soil chemistry in particular, exposure to UV is much, much higher on Mars than the Atacama Desert. But this is as close as we can get.
It's here that Dr. Jocelyne DiRuggiero studies extremophiles, which are microorganisms that live in extreme environments. In this instance, she's studying photosynthesizing extremophiles that live inside of rocks, a place that you wouldn't expect light to be able to penetrate.
We're interested in cyanobacteria, and they are found everywhere on Earth. They are primary producers, very much like plants. So they use energy from the sun, carbon dioxide and water, and then they make organic carbon, which is then used by other microorganisms. They live inside rocks because they're protected from high solar radiation, desiccation, but it is also a place where water is retained better than in the soil. We're trying to find out how do they not only survive but thrive, how do they grow and how do they evolve in those crazy conditions.
Jocelyne and her team used geological hammers while collecting and opening rocks in the desert, as well as several other tools to measure weather, temperature, and humidity. They used a drill, spectrophotometer, and fiber optic sensor that measures the intensity and color of any light penetrating the rock.
We pretended we were those little microorganisms inside the rocks and said, what do we see, what do we feel when we're out there in this rock? We had done experiments in the lab on other type of rocks, and we could see that the deeper in the rock, the least light we had. It looks like the light we see is a little redder than the light that is outside the rock. And so this brings the questions, what are the adaptations to the photosystems that allow them to capitalize on this redder light?
It was from the bed of a pickup truck in the howling winds that the scientists had to pull off these complicated experiments. But it paid off with some striking results.
The light experiments were quite surprising. With the halite, those are sodium chloride rocks, basically. There is a lot of light even underneath the rock. This has to do with the composition of a salt rock and also the fact that the light is reflected on the ground, bouncing back. So those microbial communities that are in different spots inside the rocks will see different type of lights, and we didn't know that before.
The quality of the light that reaches the cyanobacteria could indicate how these organisms are photosynthesizing from the inside of a rock, compared to other primary producers like plants. In order to figure out this process, Jocelyne and the team want to take a closer look at the organism's genome to see if there are any genetic mutations that allow them to live in these extreme environments.
Back to the lab, we'll do the molecular analysis to figure out who is there, what the community is. And we'll also count the number of cells and trying to correlate the light inside the rocks with the microbial communities at the molecular level.
Sequencing the genome of these microorganisms is going to take a while. Once these experiments are complete, Jocelyne and her team hope their data will be useful to other research missions, like studying how life can adapt to climate change or thrive on another planet.
Mars is very dry, so I'm not saying that there is life at the surface on Mars right now, but you can imagine that Mars became more and more drier over its history. It's very similar to what's happening in the Atacama Desert right now. It's getting drier and drier. And so where are the last places where we found life, where we could find life on Mars, and can we find biosignature of this life? Sometimes it's challenging, but at the same time it's very rewarding. After you work really hard and you're really tired, you sit around the campfire, and we drink a little scotch, brainstorm with ideas. The skies at night in the Atacama are amazing. You can see the whole Milky Way is just totally mind-blowing. This is really the time where you can get new insight about what we do and we also talk about why we're doing this, why are we scientists, what is our passion, and this is it.
For more episodes of Science in the Extremes, check out this one right here. Don't forget to subscribe and come back to Seeker for more episodes. Thanks for watching.